Hi friends and welcome back again. This is the end of the 5th week of the Play Along Journal series. It is a free series that I am hosting here on YouTube. I work through 2 art journals from beginning to end, taking you along for every step of the way. If you've missed the beginning weeks, go ahead and go check those out if you'd like. You don't have to watch anything in a particular order, but they're all there from the beginning if you are interested. I'm starting out here. I really want to get a little bit messy, and sometimes when that happens, I like to work with paint with my fingers. So instead of using a paintbrush where you get those brush strokes, I want to be able to really feel the paint with my fingers and rub it in and kind of get that more organic effect, I would say. This is another fun method when you really don't know where to start, but you need to kind of break that barrier of the maybe fear or anxiety about starting on your spread. And so just to pick a color, or a lot of times I'll use a white gesso and play around with that a little bit and get grungy. So I did hit that with the heat gun because I want to add some marks on top of it, and I don't want those to mix together, but rather I want the top color to stand out from the background a little bit. So I'm just using my fingertip as the art mark, which is a really fun way because you can see all those spots. They're all from my finger, but they all look a little bit different. So I like the variety that you can get in something as simple as a fingerprint. I'm thinking about where I want to go with this spread. I'm looking through my papers, seeing how much more interest I want to bring in. The tag on the left side already brings a bit of busyness to the page, and so I know that I don't want to do too much. I found a little piece of paper that was torn off from something else. I always like to save all my scraps. It can get hard once they get really small, but sometimes they're just the perfect size all ready for a project that you're doing now. Sometimes when we work with a piece of paper that is a lot larger, it can be almost intimidating because we don't want to tear it apart. We think of something as too precious that we don't want to ruin it, versus if something is already ripped up, it's not so much pressure behind it. I'm trying to think about how to add a little bit of embellishment to the bottom side of the page. So what I mean by that is usually if I do fabric bits or dangles of any sorts, it's off the top or off the side, which for the most part is what I enjoy. You can't have too much off the bottom because then I feel like if you're going to set it up on a shelf or like in a bookshelf or something, the stuff on the bottom may get ruined. But I want to experiment a little bit more with how I can do this. So usually when I do a cover of my journal, I make it a little bit bigger than the pages. So there is a little bit of wiggle room on the bottom side there that can lead to some interest, but won't necessarily be in the way, if that makes sense. So I'm just playing around, seeing how much I want that to be sticking out the bottom. I layered a piece of fabric under that piece of paper. Now I am adding a little safety pin. It's a little bulb pin, and seeing if I can add even a little bit more embellishment off the bottom. Since that's both pages there are thicker, I'm using my awl to get a hole started for me. Otherwise, you could just take your safety pin and put it right through. I like these little pins to add embellishment. They're not too thick, so they won't really disturb your art journal too much in a way of the thickness for your other pages, but they are just a fun little dainty embellishment that you can have. I'm securing that paper down a little bit more. I must not have gotten it very well the first time. That fabric tack is a really great glue for things that you need to be held down more securely. Like that is a thick piece of watercolor paper with fabric underneath it, so it was good to add a little bit extra security there. I'm trying to decide. I think I want something off of that safety pin, some sort of fabric embellishment that I can tie on to it. So I'm taking a little piece of sari ribbon and cutting it down pretty small. I want to tie a knot on that pin. And I'm just playing around with the placement, whether I want the closure to go up or down, hanging off. Sometimes you don't know what you want until you just start trying different things. I think what can stop me a lot of times the most is in the beginning, I want to know how the whole page is going to look before I even start. And we can't really do that. So here I'm just testing how far that sticks out from the bottom. You could see I kind of closed it and saw you can kind of see it, but it's not enough to get in the way, I would say, from the front. I'm looking through my different fodder elements and seeing what I can bring in. When I have a flap or a tag like that, like I have on the left side, I often like to bring some sort of focal point underneath it so that when you flip it open, it is almost that element of surprise versus when you first look at the page, you wouldn't know what is underneath it. So sometimes I like to put a quote there, or in this case, I'm putting a fun printed sticker. I have quite a few different sticker options available in my shop that are all taken from my original artwork. I will have the link for those and all the other supplies that I use in this video down in the description below. If I miss something, just let me know and I will try to find out where that is from for you. While you're at it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can be notified when new videos come out, and subscribe to my email list so you're the first to know about all of the new things coming up. I'm using this black China marker just to add in some art marks on the page. I outline that circle just a little bit to make it set off from the background. I want to outline this page a little bit, and so I'm putting a piece of paper behind it so I don't ruin any of the other pages behind it, and just going around the outside. I think this will help it to stand out just a little bit more. It's not something that I like to do on every single page, but sometimes I think used in moderation, it can be a really great effect by outlining the side of that page. And you could do that with the China marker like I'm doing, or you could use a Stabilo all pencil and then wet it with water to give it an even grungier effect, or use, like in scrapbooking days, I would use an ink pad to do it, like a stamp pad to go around the edges. You can get a really great distressing with that technique. There's a lot of different ways that you can do things, and I think just kind of reinventing the wheel for yourself is a great way to go about it. We get in such a routine art wise, even if we're not making the same things each time, but even how we use supplies, we use them in the same ways over and over. So it can be fun to test that out a little bit more. I'm using some artist tape to tack down part of that sticker. A lot of times when I'm working with circles, I don't want to see the entire circle. I want to bring it more into an abstract shape. So either ripping through the circle so you only see a part of it, or covering part of the circle, having part of it go off the page. Those are all different fun things that we can do to make it a little bit more unexpected. I'm also doing a little cluster there on the right side of the page as well, and that served a dual purpose. The artist tape, that black that I used, is actually really strong and has a nice adhesive to it, so we'll keep that thick paper on the right side down that I was having problems. I had to re-glue a couple times, plus it's a fun decorative detail. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I cannot wait to see you next time for week 6. Have a good one.